Hello. Hello.
Are you dialed in?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Just walking to my car here, though. I don't have any minute. There's packages for me. I'm just walking to the car. I'm just getting out of the doctor's office. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Call the meeting to order. Is there any declarations of conflict of interest? None? Approval of agenda? Okay.
Yep.
Adoption of minutes?
Sure.
Adoption of minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes?
Not for mine.
Okay. All right. We're going to move into our reports. Today's central focus will be the operational draft budget.
Yep.
And I think what we'll do is we'll get started. I'm going to ask our manager, Frank Quinn, and Christopher Drummond is here with him as well, to begin that process. Frank?
All right, thank you, Councillor Tweel. So I'm going to just, the budget there, you'll see that I provided a variance report, so that's a high-level overview, and I'm going to focus on that, and then we'll go into the detailed pages afterwards. So there was recently just an updated one that was sent out there, and really what that updated version included was a better guesstimate of the projected numbers. It didn't change the actual proposed operational budget. So when you look at the variance report there, you'll see the admin budget. I am projecting that there's a $74,000 increase over last year's budget. So last year's budget was $329,751, and this year I'm proposing $404,082. The main reason for that increase is the assistant manager position is now going to be is a full year with us. Last year, by the time I got it hired, it was only for 4 months. And then also just the wage increase of 2%. And then insurance claims, I'm including a bit more in that pot of money because of just recent years.
To the chair, can I have a quick question? Yeah.
So Frank, as I understand it. Sorry.
Hello.
Frank, just so I understand it, the overall increase in this year's budget compared to last year's budget, please correct me if I'm wrong, is 75,000?
So that is for the admin section. So there's
just
multiple.
okay.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
multiple sections here. I'll get to the bottom once I get to the bottom, but that's
Okay,
just
as
for
far-
the
okay.
the admin section.
Okay, as far as administrative, Councilor Tart.
Thank you, Chair. Just before we get started, I just want a clarification to help navigate through this. Frank, when you look at your 23-24 budget at this point, I assume that's at a point in time. Is that up to December 31st? That total, just in the min and all of them for that matter, like the 329,751, that would bring us up to to roughly December 31st, because the fiscal period won't end until March 31st, correct?
Correct. So you'll see that when you get into the more detailed page, it's that you'll see that we have an estimate amount, and we base it on sort of what was the actual up to the end of November. That's where the numbers were in, and then we're projecting the number from the next column there under that December 2022. That was the number they used last year, but I put in projection there. So what we're estimating, for example, admin, we're estimating to spend $313,000, and the actual budget this year is.
So the budget was 329, you're projecting 313?
Yes. So just maybe I'll ask you, Councilor Tart, which are you referring to the variance report?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm going on to the other one. Sorry, my
So
misunderstanding.
the variance overview.
Yeah.
You were saying that the
Yeah.
budget for 23-24 is 329,751.
That was budgeted last year, yes.
That was what was budgeted.
Yeah.
You're projecting you're only going to spend 313?
Correct.
Okay, but it could be more, obviously, because you're estimating that to what you spend on March 31st, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that is
I
correct.
just want to make sure that
Yes,
we're doing that through
correct.
the whole report. Thank you.
Yes, correct. That is correct.
Okay,
And
so, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, just one sec, Councilor Bernard.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, please.
So I'm seeing 329, 23, 24, but I'm seeing 24, 25, it's 404, not 339. I'm seeing a 24, 25 estimate is $404,082. So you're going from
Bernard,
329 to 404 for a 74,000 increase.
There was an updated version sent out just shortly before the meeting began. I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to look at that. But
No,
from
I
an
didn't. This would've been the one I would've been-
administrative perspective, the manager is outlining an increase of approximately 75,000.
Yes, and that's what was in the original too, 74, 331.
Okay,
so Councillor Bernard does have the most up-to-date one. So the first line in the variance report, that is what I'm projecting for this year, or budgeting for this upcoming year. So I know it's hard to get your mind around. We're actually into the 24 season, so it's 2024,
Oh, I'm sorry.
2025.
I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, I went to 24, 25. So 329, 751. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Yes, yeah. So that was last year's budget. This is what I'm projecting this year. So the increase is $74,331, and that is mainly based on the assistant manager being full-time with the department for the full year, and with a slight increase to insurance claims. So the next section here is the programs and grants, or programs and subsidies. So the actual estimate budget for this year, or that I'm putting forward for a draft budget, is $850,529,000. The budget last year was $823 and $68. We're proposing that we're projecting that we're going to spend around $750. Now the variance over year to year, the budget is about is $27,458. Now you'll say, okay, you didn't spend the money last year. Why are you asking for more money this year? The main reason for the increase is this: last year we could not even fill all our casual positions. We couldn't find the bodies out there. There just wasn't. So there was a number of positions where we didn't have staff hired, and we actually were having other staff fill in, or we had to reduce our programs, our times that we offered at the pool and things like that. So the minimum wage is going up, and we're also going to be increasing casual wages for positions that we feel are being underpaid. And I'll use example, day camp counselors, lifeguards. We struggled last year to get lifeguards, so those fees are being increased slightly. Those wages. We're also looking at the tennis down at the tennis courts. We struggled to get staff to hire to fill those positions. So we are proposing to increase those positions, and that will increase the budget by the $27,000.
Frank, when you talk about having a shortage of staff, and you outlined a couple of those positions, what about just general maintenance, working in the parks and helping staff? You know, everything from grass cutting to labor. I guess more along the labor side of things. Where are you at with the staff complement in that regard?
So I will get to that in a second, but that's a similar as well. There was a shortage in hiring casual staff there as well. So under this minimum wage, the minimum wage is going up to $15.40, and the city previously used to always be slightly ahead of the minimum wage, which enabled us to sort of entice some people to come work for the city. So we are proposing that our minimum wage that we will be offering to any position is at least $16.50. And then there'll be some staggered rates for people that are requiring specialized training. Like if you're a lifeguard, you have to get your certification. If you're a day camp counselor, you have to have certain types of training as well. And you're dealing with actually looking after children, so you have to be very, very responsible. So we are proposing that along with the minimum wage going up, we're actually proposing that we increase our base wage to $16.50 for casual staff. And then there'll be different staggered rates for different types of positions, like a lifeguard, day camp counselor, outdoor adventure camp, rec assistant, tennis instructors. All these positions requires certain types of certification and level of responsibility, high level of responsibility.
And you said later on you're going to elaborate on like labor positions?
Yes,
working out
yes,
in the
I'll get, when I
parks?
get into parks, I'll go into that in
Okay.
further detail. So that's the change there in the programming side, and we do feel that will help. Christopher and Brandon, when they were hiring staff, a lot of times they'd interview or they'd say, I can make more money at another position. So that's been one of our struggles. So we do feel that will assist us in filling all our positions and offering, programs that are at full complement. Next, we go on to Cody Banks Arena. So you'll see that last year's budget was $547,450. We're projecting about $530 that we'll spend. This year, we are proposing a slight increase of $12,000, $12,278. So our budget for this upcoming year is $500,559.728. So those increases are due to the UPSI staff increase of the 2%. Our fuel, water and sewer, and electrical, which are all being increased by 3%. So it's a nominal increase. Simmons Arena here, you will see that last year it was budgeted $506, $506,424. We're proposing we're going to spend around $480. This year's budget is increased, and it's going to be at $581,969, which for an increase of $75,545. And this increase is due to the fact that the water and sewer, of course, and fuel and electrical increase of 3%, and the UPSI staff increase of 2%. The main reason for the increase, and the largest part, is the new Simmons facility will be open in October. So we require 2 additional cleaning staff to clean that facility, which we never had at the old Simmons. This facility is 50% larger than the old Simmons facility, with a multi-purpose room, walking track, nice warm room, a larger lobby, an expanded pool area. So we'll need a cleaner in there. There'll be a lot more users in the building. Instead of just the hockey users, you'll have your fitness. So we will require to have a cleaner in the building all the time, making sure the facility is clean.
Just on that, if you don't mind. Okay, so as you said, the facility would be 50% bigger than the current facility. It's going to require more staff. How many positions are you talking about?
So the two new positions is 2 cleaners. 2 cleaners. So that will be cleaners that will be in there. Our arena staff will be in there, of course, our normal complement arena staff, and they can look after the arena component and do some cleaning of the dressing rooms and those kind of things. But when you're talking about the walking track, the warm room, the multi-purpose room, the kitchen, the offices, the lobby area, it's just a lot, and the pool area, a lot larger, and there'll be groups coming in there. You'll have your hockey user coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you'll also have people that'll come in for the walking track. You'll have people at the walking track that will be there to 11 o'clock at night. So you'll need to have cleaners. There's, I think, about 4 times the amount of washroom facilities in this facility because it's anticipated to be that much use. So the cleaning part is a big part that will actually require the staffing. So when you think if you're opening a facility that's 50% larger than the existing facility, and we're able to do it for just an additional $75,000, that's pretty impressive. Partly where we're going to have some savings in this facility as well is that it's more sustainable. We're using a lot more electrical versus oil. We have solar panels, so we're going to be able to reduce our costs in other areas of the facility.
Makes sense.
Continuing on, we're going to be adding more staff. The other thing to note is that facility is going to be open 365 days of the year. That's going to be going all year round. So summer programming and introducing new sports that are going to have the opportunity to utilize that facility, which was a real shortcomings with the old facility and some of the different sports that can be hosted in that new facility. So that new staff that you're talking about will accommodate programming and doing the necessary cleaning and all of the requirements for, we're talking again, 365 days of the year, correct?
Correct, and yes, and this is for 6 months because the facility's not going to open till October.
October.
1st, so this will be for 6 months. So next year, that would increase probably by, like, that'll double that because you'll have it for a full year staffing next year, but this is for 2 staff for 6 months.
6 months, and that'll take us right into the summer, correct? Into the summer?
No, so there's our budget, so it'll start in October. It'll go to October 1st to March 31st of next year. So that's 6 months, and then next year, we'll be bringing forward the budget for actually a full year.
But will the facility be functional next summer? Or not next summer, but the following summer?
Yes, and that'll be in next year's fiscal, next
Okay.
year's budget, yeah.
Okay. Councilor Matard?
Yeah, no, I'm just, when I'm looking here at, sorry, I'm just getting hung up on when we're looking at the variances, I guess my question is what is that telling us, or what is that purpose of that when I look, because when we looked at what you're estimating for 24, 25 for these various categories, your actual spend in the 23, 24 projected is much higher. Like, so you're really going from, if I look, for instance, just using an example of programs and grants, you are estimating a new budget of 850,000, but you're projecting to spend 750 this year. So you're really going to be asking for $100,000 more than what you spent the previous year in 23, 24, correct?
What we spent, yes, and that number could fluctuate. We could spend more than that,
Sure, you can
750.
go a little bit more.
Yeah, so the main reason why we are projecting a lower spend here is mainly due to casual staff hires. We were under by about $80,000
Yeah.
easily there because we could not find the bodies to hire.
But I guess all I'm seeing, like when we're identifying here, there's a variance of 27,458. All that's telling me is from last year's budget amount, what you put, to this year's, it makes it look like we're only asking for 27,000 more. But in actuality, you spent less, and you only really think you're going to spend 750, and you want 850. So we're really asking for 100,000 more. Is that not how I'm interpreting that, or?
I'm basing it on the budget because we asked that for that budget last year. We got that budget approved. So I'm asking based on the budget, since the projected can fluctuate. There
Sure,
could
but
be
it's
something.
likely, there's only a
And
couple, 2 months left. You're not likely to spend,
And-
well, you might spend 100, depending on what's left in there. But
probably not, and we also too, like if, for example, if we can save money anywhere, so we do try to save money so that at the end of the year, we can help the bottom line of the city. We don't spend money, if we don't need to spend it. Like I said, the main reason this year was with regards to our casual staff hires. And then also our assistant program coordinator position was vacant for a short period of time. It's still not filled yet, so that's going to save us a bit of money. And our program coordinator position was vacant for a period of time as well.
So if you see those 23, 24 projected becoming closer to the actual budget by the end of March 31st, then I'm all right with that. But if we were kind of very close to what they are now, then I think we're asking for, it seems like the variance is much higher than that. Because you're from your actuals.
Yeah, and maybe what I'll do is I'll go in and break this down. I can actually say exactly where. We did save substantial on the program coordinator position not being filled for a period, the assistant program coordinator. The main chunk of it was casual staff, and it was because we could not hire enough. We couldn't hire enough
Okay.
individuals to fill it. So it's showing that we're saving about $75,000, and I can provide a detailed breakdown where exactly that money has been saved. This year, I do know that we hopefully have all our complement filled, so we will be spending additional dollars. And if we can fill all our casual positions, which we're going to be, if we increase the wage, we feel we can, and then we'll be able to offer our programs, our full complements of programs.
Thank you.
Great. All right, we're just at the Simmons Arena there, so we'll move on to Parks. Parks is our largest budget sort of section in our department. So we are anticipating that in 2023, 2024, we budgeted $2,688,033. We are proposing an increase of actually, $2,874,864. We are projecting that we're going to spend about $2.6 million. And our variance that we're asking for additional budget is $186,831,000. The main reason for these increases here is the UPSI staff of 2% increase, the fuel, water and sewer, electrical of 3%, and then also the minimum wage. As I indicated, we're going to increase. It's going to be at $15.40, but our base wage is going to be $16.50. And also, we're converting 4 of our casual staff positions to entry-level seasonal positions. We just have not been able to fill our casual positions in parks because university students, post-secondary students, don't want to work for minimum wage. They can get other jobs that are paying more. So we're converting these into entry-level seasonal, which will mean that they start at a slightly higher rate of, I think, $19.67, I believe it is. So it'll get us staff that will rate in May 1st. We'll have filled some of those staff positions, 4 positions. So that's a slight increase, but it'll get us our higher number of complement of staff. And then also it's due to just supply increase.
So, and what about people that are not going to school that would like to work for the city, say in the Parks Department, from a casual perspective? What are the opportunities that are there, Frank?
So if they're not school, like these positions, when you convert them to entry-level seasonal, they don't have to be going to school. So now we'll be able to take 4 of those positions that used to be 4 student positions. Now we can hire someone else that's not necessarily in school. Maybe they are in school. There is a certain skill set we require of individuals to have as well, and certain things have to pass. So even though someone puts their name in, doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified to do the job or be hired for the job. But it's you go through a process, and we do an interview process, and we hire individuals that are suitable for the positions. But we feel with this increased amount that we'll be able to hire more positions. We haven't been able to fill our casual positions with university students or post-secondary because we just haven't been paying enough.
Okay, so it's not a prerequisite that you have to be going to school to work in the Parks and Recreation Department from a parks perspective. Is that correct?
As a casual, yes, there's a certain period in the union agreement, but not as an entry-level season. So now that we've taken 4 positions, that gives us 4 other open positions that we can hire new people for. They put their name in, we'll interview them, they can be hired to fill those positions.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be in school.
Yeah, there must have been a miscommunication there before because, I've heard it said that, we can't fill our positions here, whether it be Parks, Public Works, and then when I encourage people to go to the Human Resource Department, oh, no, there's no positions. And I just didn't understand that. I didn't understand that either miscommunication or misconception or what it was, because I kept hearing that. That was a constant theme, again, whether it was Parks and Recreation or Public Works. And when people would ask me, when I go, well, your first step is to fill out an application, bring it into the front desk or do it online. They would enter it into the computer, try to make contact with the Human Resource Department, and to no avail. And I found that part very frustrating.
It all just depends the positions we have open at the time too. So like you could have a horticultural position open, so you need someone with horticultural training and whatnot, or it could be a specialized position. So there is ones. This will give us a little more flexibility of entry-level positions that we will have, that we can hire individuals with a base skill set to do some of this maintenance work.
Councillor Bernard, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can you turn up the sound, please?
Is that any better?
That's better.
That's better? I just want to go back to the Simmons Arena and just another question basically off what you had brought up. I'm looking at the variance of 75,000 and the increase. That's the extra staff I believe that Frank wants to hire for cleaning. And I see included now is fuel, water, sewer, electrical. I'm just wondering, is that just one cleaner, or is that a couple of cleaners for the new facility?
So Councillor Bernard, that is actually 2 cleaners for 6 months because it opens October 1st. So it'll be 2 cleaners.
Yeah.
So that means we're going to have cleaners there. Like for on the weekend, for example, they'll have to be there right from like 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock. So there'll be 2 cleaners in that day. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I thought you said. I'm just wondering, Frank, I know it's 6 months, but you also have your fuel included in that 75,000. Your water and sewers is in that 75,000. Your electrical increase is in that 75,000. I'm wondering, is that high enough? Could you have fuel, water and sewer, electrical included in that?
It is actually, so what it is, we're actually going to be saving in some of those areas. So mainly, for example, oil is going to be reduced dramatically because of the new facility. It's going to have solar panels, so we're going to spend more on electrical, but spend less on oil. We won't have and then we'll also be spending more on propane and less on oil. So there's going to be a trade-off.
So you're fine with that? You're okay with that number then?
Yes, it's Mike went through it, Mike White, and he feels comfortable with this amount.
Okay, no, that's it. Thanks.
So the bottom line, if you look at the bottom line, you'll see the numbers there. So what we're proposing for this year's budget is $5,271,168, and last year's was $4,894,72. So the difference is $376,443. That amounts to a 7.6 increase over the 2023-2024 budget. Even though I know that we're not going to be quite spending that, we're anticipating a slight, savings of about a little over 200,000. But based on if we get all our full complement of staff, I do feel that we will need these additional dollars to meet the service requirements of the department. If we go through the detailed budget there, you'll see, and I'll just, each one you can sort of have a look at it, but the numbers pretty well, I updated some of the projected numbers to get them closer, but some of these numbers still will fluctuate a bit. But the budget numbers shows sort of all the different lines. You'll see your admin, the breakdown of your admin, the breakdown of your programs and grants, the breakdown of Cody Banks, and the breakdown of Simmons, and then also the breakdown of the parks. So I don't necessarily know if you want me to go through that detail since I provide the variance overview.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
okay.
that's fine, Frank, thank you.
Yeah, so the one I will focus on that I didn't touch on yet is actually our revenue. Our revenue is always the first thing on our budget, and that's, so you'll see there if you look at the actual detailed documents. At the bottom here right now, we're proposing on our variance report that we'll have 814,199 for revenue. Last year was around 742,425. We feel like we will slightly surpass that. We're going to probably be at about 750,000. Now this is an increase of revenue of about 71,000 or almost 72. And the reason we're going to have this increase, we're proposing a 3% increase over all our revenue that we charge in our sport fields, arenas, community centers. And I'll go through the detailed sheets afterwards, but we're also proposing the new Simmons Arena, that those fees be increased to align with Bell and Eastlink Center. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility, and that if we don't, we already have a lot of people that want to come to this new facility. And to make it actually meet the 50% cost recovery, the fees should be in line with our Bell and Eastlink Center, which are newer facilities.
To the chair. To the chair, I do have a question on the revenue side, just on the partner funding. I'm noticing that there isn't a budget for that. Does that mean we're not anticipating any partner funding, and who or what is considered partner funding? If I'm reading that correctly.
I do see that line in there, and I will have to look to see exactly what that partnership funding was. I apologize. I should have noticed that earlier.
Because we had it in 21, 22, 23, 24.
It's usually project related, and I'll have to see, and maybe that could be a reallocation that maybe, do you know anything about that, Christopher? That wouldn't have to be a COA. It might have been a COA funding that, it could have been a capital
We're
project.
not getting annual partner funding. It could be based on project or initiative that is occurring at the time.
Yeah, and what ends up happening sometimes, it gets put into our operational budget and then gets reallocated to the capital project. So when the money comes in first, so I'll confirm to see what's going on
That
with
doesn't
that.
prevent you from applying for we'll call it a federal program throughout the year to utilize against an operational initiative, and it might not be here yet?
Very rarely is there funding, partnership funding for operational. It's usually capital projects.
Okay, you don't have any, okay.
Yeah, so this, I'll have to figure it, that, didn't notice that till now, sorry about that. So that is where ultimately with regards to our revenue, now I'll go through all the sheets here.
Just want to come back to aligning our costs of the new Simmons facility, aligning it with the Civic Center and the Cary facilities, with our goal of net zero emissions. Wouldn't there be a cost savings? And if there's a cost savings, then why would we have to increase the rental fees?
So I'll go right, we'll go to the next report here, because actually the next three reports deal with the revenue, each category where we're talking about it. So the next one is actually the one that you're referring to, Councillor Tweel. So there is going to be a savings in the building, but it's a larger building. It's also a state-of-the-art facility. It's going to have brand-new dressing rooms, brand-new, what do you call it, stadium seating area, warm room, everything in the building is brand new. So they were paying a lower rate because the other facility was 50 years old. And Cody Bank's rate's going to still stay the same. You can tell yourself when you go into the Bell Center or the Eastlink Center, you're not necessarily getting the same type of amenities that you would get at, at Cody Banks and at Simmons. They're good old buildings, but they are older buildings. So with the fact that, yes, we are saving money they're going to be saving money on the operation of this Simmons, the fact that it's twice the size of the old building kind of thing, the cost is still going to increase because it is a larger facility. So we're proposing that the rates should align with Bell and Eastlink, and it's in line with other rates in the area as well. For municipalities of our size, our rates are still very reasonable if you compare us to communities like Moncton, Halifax, Fredericton, other cities even are similar our size. We have very very reasonable rates in Charlottetown for the use of our arenas. It's increasing. So for example, here you'll see the prime rate under Simmons. The prime rate is increasing by 26%. The non-prime is increasing by 16%. The minor sport non-prime, there's no difference in those ones there. And the arena signage rate is increasing dramatically because people are going to want to put signs in this new facility. So it's not that they're increasing enormously. Like it is going from the prime rate was 198, now it's going up to 250. That is a large jump. But it's also showing there is going to be a lot more groups that are going to want to use Simmons, and they'll pay that rate. Like they pay it at Eastlink and Bell to use it, and this will be a state-of-the-art facility. The Cody Banks rates, you'll notice that they're nominal. They're 3% increases all the way down the board.
Yeah, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Councillor Bernard.
It's worth a discussion, I guess. 26% is a pretty big hit. And minor hockey associations are going to have to charge quite a bit more for registration. It'd be nice to see what the cost of the building is going to be to run. And Frank, I wonder, I know you said that Mike White done some estimates. I'm just wondering, would Mike be able to give us a comparison for what Simmons cost to run the run of the year and what the projection for this to cost the run of the year? And I mean, there'd be a lot more revenues coming in the new facility also, I would expect. And with the savings from a new building considered to an old building where you're continually putting capital dollars in to keep it up to snuff. I just wonder if we have to do a 26% increase right off the bat.
We can revisit that. I guess the biggest thing is we wanted to put it in line with Bell and Eastlink, and you'll see at the bottom there, Eastlink charges, $249.67. That's last year's rate, so it could be slightly higher this year. And then the, Bell charged 245, and their rate could be slightly increased this year as well. So it will very likely be around that 250 for the prime and the non-prime. We are looking at, the facility is larger. Yes, we're going to have savings and whatnot, but this increase, when Mike figured it out, it's an increase to the overall budget of $40,000 for revenue, is about 50% of the additional cost of $75,000. So it's going to keep us in line with our 50% cost recovery, and that's what we strive to have our facilities. We don't see we're not going to be charging for the walking track because we want that open for everyone. The community center, yes, there will be some nominal charges for that, but not large charges. We're going to be having additional programming in there, so there will be more programming. So we'll be spending on the programming side. We'll very likely, once the facility opens up, we'll be spending some more money there to run some different programs and whatnot. So I do see that the 26 is a large. Maybe we can set it back some and maybe do, 15 and the next year do it, additional 10. But we just wanted to let people know, we're going to have an increased demand of people wanting to use this facility, and we'll pay.
I don't disagree with that. I think
Sorry.
it is a new facility and it's going to cost, there'll
Sorry.
be some extra costs, I suspect. Our goal has always been to keep it around 50%. And I don't see, Frank, what the charge would be for the pool. And I hope it's not just $1 for the day.
So as of right now, the pool, we don't anticipate having it open this summer. It's very unlikely because we have to do the commissioning for the whole building. So it might be open for a short period, but that would be something that would be revisited during next year's budget process. Christopher just pointed out here too that I was actually, as I can see, the print is small print. So that prime rate is really for the adult groups. So it's the adult groups that's going up 26%. The actual non-prime and minor sport prime is the one going up 16.5%. So it's not going up the 26, it's the adult groups that are going up 26.3%.
Okay, so there's no prime rate for minor hockey?
There is the
What you're saying?
minor sport prime rate, and it's the rate that's less. So it's the same as non-prime. So it's
198?
198, correct.
So that's 23-24. So you're saying you're going to hold that for effective May 1st, 24? Because what I'm seeing is that 23-24 and then effective May 1st, 24, the base rate's 217, 32, 250.
Yeah.
Right.
So the minor sport, the non-prime, and the
Oh, I
minor
see.
sport rate,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
are going up. But they're going
So
up.
prime
It's the prime that's
is
taking.
adult.
Yeah, the prime adults is taking
And
the major
minor
jump.
sport prime, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you got minor sport prime, okay. I see where you are, yeah, okay.
Mr. Chair, thanks to Christopher for that, pointing that out. I was a little bit confused myself looking at three different rates there. So just to confirm again, the top line item prime is for the adult side. But nonetheless, I guess a 16.5 increase over a 2.94 for Cody Banks. At the end of the day, they're both still using ice. It's ice and ice, and a lot of both Sherwood Minor Hockey Association and Charlottetown both intermix there. So I think we need to strike some balance there around the increases. When you take that daily rate or that ice rate and times that over the amount of ice per team used, it can be quite substantial. And then ultimately it goes back on to the parents for registration fees, which need to be increased. And the subsidy by the city hasn't increased in quite some time, so it's not catching up as well with that. We're still getting that base subsidy. So I would think that'd be something I would like to look at considering, where can we strike a balance in that 16.5% increase. I know we're trying to tie in the other factors like the walking track and such, but yes, parents can use during games and such. I get that, but bigger dressing rooms, I get that. There's all kinds of other amenities that align with bigger facilities, but and hence why you probably did not increase Cody Banks as a result of not apples to apples in what you're getting for your ice fee rentals.
Correct, and we're comparing it to the higher level facilities, and this facility is even going to be. This is even going to be higher than Bell and Eastlink. You can go to this facility, parents can go there along with their children playing, when they're playing hockey, they can walk around the walking track, get their fitness in. They could also join a fitness class. They'll have a state-of-the-art warm room. So there is a lot of it. We can revisit that. I can chat with Mike and see if maybe we do a 10% increase this year, and then the remainder increase, would come next year.
I think a little bit. I mean, I understand that the increases have got to occur. I think what maybe it's the associations are generally find out once the budget is passed and then the impacts are known at that point in time, Mr. Chair. It's, they don't see this coming until the start of the next year and they get a letter and say the fees have increased, and then it's, we're in September and then parents are finding out that the rates are now $510 going to $540 or something, depending on what it is. So it might be a little bit of that as well. It's communicating out earlier that there are changes for these reasons.
I understand where you're coming from, Councilor Matart, and I do believe Mike has sort of been given all the minor sport groups heads up on this. That there is going to be an increase for this new facility, and usually these notices are sent out once the budget is passed. These notices are sent out to users, so they're made aware of it. Usually like we're saying, it doesn't go into place until May. This facility won't be open until October, so they will know well in advance. But I'll review that with Mike White and just see. I want to make sure we do stay to our cost recovery of 50%. That isn't something we have stayed in, and we really want to stay on track with that. All right. So the next report is regards to the community center rate increases. Now these are nominal increases as well. It's 3% increases, but we feel we need to keep with the inflation to sort of offset some of our costs. So you'll just see the full day rate is going up to $186.56. Half day rate's $93.29. Hourly rate is $31.10, and gym rental rate is going up to $49.75. And then our monthly user contracts, there are variable rates in there. These are depending on the different types of groups, but they'll be going up 3%. All the different arrangements we have in place. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we have been finding our community centers are being highly used, and there's been increased uses, especially one-time users at a number of facilities, which has created a lot more staffing requirements for cleaning and everything. So we do feel we need to increase nominal just to stay up with things. And they are getting a great service for at these community centers. These are very, very reasonable prices compared to other community centers and other facilities in the city of Charlottetown. Then the next one is the actual proposed increase for the program registration fees and the sport fields and tennis court rentals rates. So there is, just going back to community centers, so that, the increase that we're proposing here will generate an additional $3,000. For the increase with regards to the programming side of things, the registration fee, the 3% increase across the board will generate about, $2,900. The sport field increase will generate about additional $880 in revenue. And if you turn over to the next page here, you'll see the breakdown of all the different rates. It's like you said, it's very nominal across the board, but it is showing that things have increased a bit, and we do feel that we have to stay with increased small amounts versus having 3 or 4 years down the road having to increase a big amount because we've fallen behind. So any questions on those rental fee increases?
I think that, Frank,
Yes, go ahead, Councillor.
that's part of what we passed with the percentage of increase each year, right? The CPI.
That is
where you
what
get
was
3%.
discussed last year, and I believe we didn't quite go as high as CPI last year because CPI
Right.
was 8%
Okay.
last year.
Eight, yeah. And we can't.
Yeah, we went
so you're
5.
staying with that. Okay.
Yeah, we went 5. So this year
Okay.
it's a smaller increase, which I think people will be okay with.
Yep, appreciate, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, and the last 2 items on the agenda here, or last 2 items on the budget, are with regards to new initiatives. We have 2 new initiatives here relating to staffing. The first one is the Parks Foreman position. The position currently is vacant, And we haven't had the budget to hire someone, so we're looking at wanting to get that position filled. And just with regards to department operations, I know you're all very aware over the past 5 years, we've estimated we've expanded by 30%. And that means more supervision is required for all the, all the parks operations. We have a park superintendent field works that deals with sort of the out in the day-to-day operations. And then we have a park superintendent that's more the office works part of it and capital projects. So we just need another body to actually help supervise all the staff, coordinate all the projects. As you're quite aware, you'll get calls from residents and they'll be forwarded on to us, and then oftentimes we'll have to drop something else to deal with that. Our staff might, not be able to communicate with someone. So this position here would actually provide more supervision to our staff and support to our 2 superintendents. And the additional cost would be, the overall with all the benefits and everything, is $87,571. We do consider this to be our number 1 priority, and it is something that we feel it's critical for operations to continue to grow and continue to expand. We have grown and expanded, and our staff are getting they feel like they're constantly behind because they can't keep up with stuff. At the management team level.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
so Frank, we had a park foreman position before, correct?
Correct, yes, there was one, and it was, the position was changed to become a park superintendent position because that person was actually doing superintendent duties.
So the salary dollars for the parks foreman position is not still in the budget? Or did you use that money to turn the foreman position into a superintendent?
You're the latter, yeah. We use that money along with a few additional dollars to support a second park superintendent. It was just seen that individual was doing actually superintendent tasks versus actually just foreman tasks. And we knew we were getting into a point where we were going to need another supervisor position like a foreman, and they do have them in public works. So we knew we were going to get to that stage. We needed more supervision.
Okay. And I assume Eleanor's in the room?
She is, yeah.
So, Eleanor, this goes to our conversation we had yesterday. That's why I'd like to see what the cost is going to be for all the needs that we're supposed to have within the city before we go out and start hiring directors and hiring people that we don't know what the cost is going to be to the city. So I assume there's going to be a lot more of these asks coming through the city. It'd be nice to have it laid out of what the extra costs are going to be and see what we can afford. But anyway, that's why, I was having a conversation of the director, the third director, and filling it on a temporary basis when we haven't agreed to do a third director, and I don't see the need yet. I had them show to me why there's a need. So these different ones in the different departments, if they're going to come down, and if they're going to need these extra boots on the ground, that's why, to me, I'd like to know what our total cost is going to be before we start putting people in temporary positions that we haven't approved yet.
Mr. Chair.
Anyway, that's just an example.
Mr. Chair. I guess in just commenting on that, I think what I understand here is, like many of the departments, this is a proposal for a new position. These will all get rolled up into the bigger discussion for council to review and prioritize and determine and debate budgetary positions and based on their need. Is that correct? I guess, Mr. Chair, through to our CAO. She indicated that is correct. Thank you.
Well, then, if that's the case, why don't you, if that's the case, then why don't you have a temporary foreman position now?
We don't have the budget here right now, Councillor Bernard. So these are, like you said, 2 new positions we're proposing. There's 2 new initiatives here, and they will be discussed as part of the bigger picture.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm using that as an example. I'm just using that as an example. There's a lot of needs here, and I just don't feel that we go and put someone in temporary position when we haven't approved it and we haven't seen the need for it. We used to have. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it. But that's my point, is that I don't think we should be putting people in temporary positions when we haven't approved any of the positions. And I haven't seen that somebody show me a need. So all these positions, like this one here, it's probably a need. And if it's a real heavy need, then why do we not have anybody in a temporary position? Because we're waiting for it to see if it's going to be approved or not. Anyway.
All right, thank you, Councillor
my
Bernard.
question.
Yeah, so this position here will be an UPSI position, so it'll be part of the UPSI union position if it is approved. Then the next new initiative is actually two QP positions. So similar to our parks foreman, and last year we were appreciative that we got two permanent park maintenance positions. So we'd indicated that this was part of the actual report. I can't think of the name of the report right now. The governance review report, or the report that talked about what we sort of needed for staffing and whatnot. So Parks Foreman was part of that. These two positions are as well. So we were able to fill two last year. We got budget for that. And these are two additional parks permanent positions as well. Similar to what I indicated with the last one, we've grown by 30%. There's just more demands. We have staff now that are literally working year round. And have been before, but we've got more and more needs for it, as for our outdoor rinks, our trails, our boardwalks in the summertime with all our sport fields, everything. So parks operations are not as seasonal as they're not seasonal like they used to be. There is a year-round activities at all our parks and throughout our green spaces. So we are requesting that for two additional permanent positions, and that this supports actually the city strategic plan as well, with regards to community building and placemaking and enhancing the Charlottetown as a great place to visit. And what we'd be indicating here is the cost for two new positions is $151,809 with all the benefits. But it would be converting two seasonal positions. So because this is part of QP, seasonals would apply to this. So each position would be, very likely be in the range of the minimal. So they'd be converted over to permanent positions. So we would minus the actual savings of the seasonal positions, and the overall cost would be $106,000.
Okay.
Hope I explained that properly. I mumbled a little bit over it.
No, yeah.
All right, so those are two staffing new initiatives, and we know they'll be part of a bigger discussion, and we appreciate that every department is needing more staff, and as the city's been growing here in leaps and bounds, we're like the sheer number of volume of user groups we have now, the range of them, different groups we've never had before, and we've talked about during our capital budget, like pickleball, disc golf, cricket user groups, even our sort of regular groups like soccer, those groups have grown in numbers. So our city is growing very quickly and very fastly, and a lot of new user groups, a lot of new infrastructure, new trails, new everything, and all of those new items and additional population is requiring more staffing to manage it. So that's the end of the actual operational budget.
Yeah.
We're all good with that, or I don't know if everyone's comfortable proposing what we put forward?
I think those are reasonable requests, Frank. No doubt about it, there's a bigger demand on the department. And I think what you're proposing in terms of additional staffing and the permanent ones, I think you could probably hire 5, if you really wanted to get down to brass tactics, but I think it's pretty reasonable. Your request for these 3 positions, I certainly support them. And let's continue on. So I'm sorry, Councilor Tart, did you have a question?
No, I just said I would second, moving that
Okay.
budget forward for review by
Thank you.
finance.
Thank you. Councilor Bernard, you're okay?
I am, yeah. Move forward to finance, yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, Frank, I believe that completes the operational draft budget.
Correct, Councillor.
Thank you. Our next, the other 2 reports there for information purposes. information sharing is the Seniors Engagement Committee.
Correct. So we have your seniors engaging minutes in there, and you can feel free if you have any questions on those minutes or topics that are things that are happening on those committees.
Sure.
DL right now is, and she's in the room here, she's actually the staff liaison with the Youth Engagement Committee. And she stepped in also and filled in for the Seniors Engagement Committee for them as well. It used to be Brianna. Tracy will be taking that over here. So we'll always have a couple staff here to answer any questions if you review them and have any questions on what's being done with those committees. They both have been very active. The Seniors Engagement Committee, as you're quite aware, has been a very active committee, and the Youth Engagement Committee that is new and up and going, that DL's been working as a staff liaison, has some real keen interests and have recently received funding, I believe, for a project, which is Live Well PEI podcast. So some very interesting work that they're both doing, so.
Okay. That's fine. Move for adjournment. Second by
Move.
Councilor Bernard.
Second it. Sure.
Motion carried. Thank you. Congratulations, staff. As usual, yeoman service.
Thank you.
Councillor Twill.
Good. Good job, guys.